House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer. Good morning, Ari.
Good morning.
Let's talk messaging, will we? Because the president's going to be speaking, and it seems to me he walks the fine line. If he talks negatively about the economy, it hurts him politically, and also he could be criticized for hurting consumer confidence. If he's too optimistic, frankly, people may look at him and say, where do you live? So how do you craft that message?
No, great question. I remember George Bush went through this in 2001. The economy he inherited was going into a recession, and when the president talked about we're in a recession, he was accused by Democrats of talking down the economy. But the lesson is you have to be truthful. And any president who is seen as out of touch with people who have lost their jobs will be hurt worse. So President Obama is right to talk about and to express his concern. His real problem, though, is not message, it's substance. The issue is how much damage did he do the economy with his policies.
Well, I'll tell you, the Republicans, particularly the presidential candidates, have really been going after him. Let me play for you a little clip from Tim Pawlenty.
Now gas is $4 a gallon. Home prices are in the gutter. Our health care system, thanks to Obamacare, is more expensive and less efficient. Unemployment's back over 9%. Our national debt has skyrocketed. Now, if that was recovery, then our president needs to enter economic rehab.
You've heard some of the Democratic criticism, which is that the Republican Congress doesn't have any incentive to get things done, in fact, because this works to their advantage in 2012. Is there any truth to that?
I don't think so. And I've seen that one before, too. I remember in 1996, Bill Clinton's re-election year, welfare reform was passed, a Republican bill signed by a Democratic president. So every era has its different dynamic. You can't argue one way or another.
What have the Republicans accomplished since they took over the House?
Oh, my gosh, have they accomplished a lot. Not necessarily legislation that Barack Obama has signed, but the Bush extension of all the tax cuts, that was because Republicans took the House. President Obama did all the across-the-board tax cuts for everybody. And they have changed the tenor of Washington. We're no longer talking about how much will we spend, we're talking about how much will we cut. And now we're talking trillions of dollars of cuts. Massive change in the psychology of Washington. It's early enough. We don't know yet about the legislation.
Psychology gets you so far with the American people.
But this is still only June. They've only been in there 5 months, and you still have the big fights coming up about spending. Hopefully we'll get an agreement that allows the debt limit to be increased because spending was cut.
Let's talk a little bit about the presidential race, shall we? And you and I were talking about back in 2000 when we were both out on the campaign trail, which is 11 years ago. Mitt Romney, suddenly, I mean, he's had a really good week, kind of got stepped on by Sarah Palin at the start, but now he's really been out there. He's got an economic message. The new polls show him potentially beating Barack Obama. Is he now really strongly the front runner? I
don't think there is a front runner in the Republican Party. This is an unusual, unprecedented in modern Republican politics, wide open campaign. Romney, I think, has stronger organization, stronger money, but he's got some big, serious problems involving flip-flops.
He's even doing well in South Carolina, where he wasn't even really putting together much of an organization.
I think what was fascinating was it was the first poll that showed a Republican beating Barack Obama by name. He's always been vulnerable to a generic candidate, which shows you Obama is vulnerable. First time a named candidate beat him. But there's going to be a lot of flux, a lot of change, and this is the time of a campaign for a smart Republican. Put your head down, give policy speeches like Tim Pawlenty did, make your organizations powerful, develop grassroots volunteers and fundraisers. That's what this is about, and I expect lots of churning in the Republican side until the fall, and no real front runner until then.
Well, come back. We'll talk about it, Ari. Always great to have you here. Thank you. A little later in the program,